Hi guys, and welcome back. So this is Lent day 4. So it took me a lot of years to realise this as well, by the way. The amount of times that I've seen when the beginning of Lent was and counted the 40 days until Easter Sunday and never managed to marry it up. But in our calendar, the Sundays aren't included in the 40 days. So it's actually about 44, 45, whatever it might be. I'm terrible at maths, but you can correct me in the comments how many days that actually is. But anyway, so we're on day 4 of Lent, and then tomorrow will be a day off. So today we're doing about the snake and the love of God, which is taken from John chapter 3, verses 1 to 3, and verses 14 to 21. There was a man of the Pharisees called Nicodemus, a ruler of the Judeans. He came to Jesus by night. "Rabbi," he said to him, "we know that you're a teacher who's come from God. Let me tell you the solemn truth," replied Jesus. "Just as Moses lifted up the snake in the desert, in the same way the Son of Man must be lifted up, so that everyone who believes in him may share in the life of God's new age. This, you see, is how much God loved the world, enough to give his only special Son, so that everyone who believes in him should not be lost, but should share in the life of God's new age. After all, God didn't send the Son into the world to condemn the world, but so that the world could be saved by him. Anyone who believes in him is not condemned, but anyone who doesn't believe is condemned already, because they didn't believe in the name of God's only special Son. And this is the condemnation, that light has come into the world, and people love darkness rather than light, because what they were doing was evil. For everyone who does evil hates the light. People like that don't come to the light in case their deeds get shown up and reproved, but people who do the truth come to the light so that it can become clear that what they have done has been done in God. And mind you, watch out for snakes. My wife gave me a final warning before I set off into the hills. The footpaths had been closed for several months because of a widespread and infectious animal disease. Many creatures that normally kept away from regular footpaths had, apparently, spent the spring enjoying a newfound freedom. We don't have many dangerous snakes in the British Isles, but the viper is dangerous enough. And so, to be honest, I didn't know exactly what I would do if I met one. Fortunately, I didn't see one on the walk, but it sent my mind back to the way in which the symbol of the snake has been used in many cultures over many thousands of years. From the snake in the Garden of Eden to the serpent Ananta in some branches of Hinduism, apologies if I've got the pronunciation wrong there, to the mythic serpent ancestor of the Aztecs and the old god of nature in parts of Africa to this day. From poetry to art and medicine, not least psychoanalysis, the figure of the serpent or snake has haunted human imagination from time immemorial. In many cultures, the serpent is seen as positive and powerful, though dangerous. In many others, not least in some parts of the Jewish and Christian traditions, the serpent is seen as a strong but negative force, symbolising the evil in the world and in all of us. The question of what to do about the serpent is a way of asking the question of what to do about evil, or what different cultures have designated as evil. The present passage gives a clear and confident answer, which has itself been powerful in subsequent thought and culture. Verse 14 looks back to the incident described in Numbers 21, verses 5 to 8. During their wandering in the wilderness, the Israelites grumbled against Moses and were punished by poisonous snakes invading the camp, killing many of them. God gave Moses the remedy. He was to make a serpent out of bronze, put it on a pole, and hold it up for the people to look at. Anyone who looked at the serpent on the pole would live. The serpent entwined around the pole, a symbol which appears in other cultures too, remains to this day as a sign of healing, used by various medical organisations. The bronze serpent was therefore stored in the tabernacle as a sacred object until much later King Hezekiah discovered that the people were worshipping it and broke it into pieces. In the time of Jesus, one Jewish writer found it necessary to emphasize that it wasn't the bronze serpent itself that had saved the Israelites, but the saving power of God. All this shows the strange power of the symbol and highlights even more the importance of verse 14 for understanding what Jesus had come to do. This, in fact, is the only place in the New Testament where the bronze serpent is referred to. Here it points clearly to the death of Jesus. Moses put the serpent on the pole and lifted it up so that the people could see it. Even so, the Son of Man must be lifted up, so that everyone who believes in him may have eternal life. Humankind as a whole has been smitten with a deadly disease. The only cure is to look at the Son of Man dying on the cross and find life through believing in him. This is very deep and mysterious, but we must ask, how can the crucifixion of Jesus be like putting the snake on a pole? Wasn't the snake the problem, not the solution? Surely John isn't suggesting that Jesus was like the poisonous snakes that had been attacking the people. No, he isn't. What he is saying, and will continue to say in several ways right up to his account of the crucifixion, is that the evil which was in the world, deep-rooted within us all, was somehow allowed to take out its full force on Jesus. When we look at him hanging on the cross, what we are looking at is the result of the evil in which we are all struck. And we are seeing what God has done about it. We are seeing in particular what God's own love looks like. John refers us back to 1:18 and behind that to 1 verses 1 to 2 in order to say when Jesus died on the cross, that was the full and dramatic display of God's own love. It wasn't a messy accident. It wasn't God letting the worst happen to somebody else. The cross is at the heart of John's amazing new picture of who God is. He is now to be known as the God who is both Father and Son, and the Son is revealed, lifted up, when he dies under the weight of the world's evil. The cross is the ultimate ladder set up between heaven and earth. But evil isn't then healed, as it were, automatically, precisely because evil lurks deep within each one of us. For healing to take place, we must ourselves be involved in the process. That doesn't mean we just have to try a lot harder to be good. You might as well try to teach a snake to sing. All we can do, it was all that the Israelites could do, is to look and trust, to look at Jesus, to see him, the full display of God's saving love, and to trust in him. Here there opens up the great divide, which John describes in terms of darkness and light. Believing in Jesus means coming to the light of God's new creation. Not believing means remaining in the darkness, and the darkness, and those who embrace it, must be condemned, not because it offends against some arbitrary laws which God made up just for the fun of it, and certainly not because it has to do with the material created world rather than with a supposed spiritual world. It must be condemned because evil is destroying and defacing the present world and preventing people coming forward into God's new world. Eternal life, that is the life of the age to come. But the point of the whole story is that you don't have to be condemned. You don't have to let the snake kill you. God's action in the crucifixion of Jesus has planted a sign in the middle of history. And the sign says, believe and live. A couple of points for reflection. Again, I'd love to read your comments on this. How does the symbol of the bronze snake on the pole in the wilderness relate to the crucifixion of Jesus? In what ways does it reveal God's saving love? I think it reveals his love because it shows just how powerful and all-encompassing something that he can do can be, should he choose to do that. And the Israelites obviously needed something to focus on and believe that it had that power in it, rather than focusing on trying to do things themselves and continuing to live in the sin that they did. I feel like that's a pretty terrible answer of mine there, and don't have a full understanding of the connection of the bronze snake on the pole relating to the crucifixion of Jesus myself, so I'd love to see what some of you have got to say. Also, what role do belief and trust play in the process of healing and salvation? I think it's almost impossible to heal from any badness, negativity, or evil in any relationship if we don't have that trust and we don't have belief in the person or what it is that we've got faith in. Then it's going to be very difficult for that healing process to begin, or it's only going to ever get so far and always going to be superficial, so it's absolutely paramount. Anyway, I shall see you in 2 days' time. Thank you.